So here's the last unit of your Chemistry 1 career. Acids and bases. Yesterday you did the lab and you worked with an acid, name it?
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid, and its formula was HCl, hydrochloric acid. And then you worked with a base, it was sodium hydroxide. And its formula was NaOH, correct? Okay, do you know of any other acids? Sulfuric. So far that's about it though? We'll learn about more. Okay, let's write in your study buddy the properties of acids. I'm waiting while you're filling it in. Okay, one of the universal properties of an acid is that it has a sour taste. How many people have ever had sour Skittles, Warheads? What's another sour candy?
Sour Patch Kids.
Sour gummy, yeah, Sour Patch Kids, all of which are gross. Guess what they flavor, guess how they make the sour taste?
No,
Acid.
it's okay.
Hydrochloric acid.
They add acid to it, not hydrochloric. Otherwise, that'd be the last warhead you ever ate. They do use an acid not quite as strong as, they use citric acid. Yeah, citric acid. The sour taste is an intensive property. Define intensive.
Can't be
Nope.
A property that is. That's just correct.
Okay, that's correct. A property that is independent of the amount tested. Okay. So 1 drop of citric acid is sour. 1,000,000 drops of citric acid are sour. Right. What does this mean? Less than. Okay, the pH of acids is less than 7. Do you know what pH is? Were you in 7th grade? Yeah, you were, and you learned about this pH. pH. Obviously, it has something to do with the number. Huh. It's the acid and base thing, it is.
17.
Okay, 7 is neutral. Okay, 7 is neutral. Now, any more numbers? Yes, exactly so. So pH is a measure of acidity. You don't have to write that down. We'll do that later. Measure of acidity. So if something is acid, its pH is between 0 and
6.
7.
Oh, 7.
Okay, 0 and as close to 7 as you can get, right? Because 7 is neutral. All right, if something is a base, what do you think?
14.
Yep, up to 14, that magic number she remembered. If something is a base, it has a pH greater than 7. This is what you did in the lab yesterday. You took an acid and you put it on blue litmus paper and it turned. And then you took red litmus paper, you put a drop of acid on it and there was no color change. And then you used phenolphthalein that started out as a clear liquid. You added a drop of acid and it stayed. What did it do in a base? It wasn't that a pretty color? Yeah, it was.
It turn to wine.
Yep, remember the first day demo I did for you, changing all those different glasses? Guess what I used when I made the pretend wine? Phenolphthalein and a base. That was pretty tricky, wasn't it? Okay, ooh, boy, you right, I'll wait. So you have to all the way down through number 6. Complete I'm sorry, through number 5.
Give us a lot of room.
Okay, let's do some talking. Let's talk about the stuff on the bottom first, because you did this yesterday. What type of reaction is this? It is a single replacement reaction. Please take your green sheet of happiness, otherwise known as your star chart, and find the activity series. Found it? Okay. Yesterday, you took a solution of hydrochloric acid and you dropped it onto the metal magnesium. Which is higher on the activity series, hydrogen or magnesium?
Magnesium.
Magnesium is, so it replaced the hydrogen, correct? And we see that in the products, magnesium chloride, and it formed hydrogen gas. All right, so you can tell if the reaction is going to work by the placement on the activity series. Let's say that I took copper wire. Let's change this to copper. And I dropped some copper into hydrochloric acid. Would hydrogen gas be made? No. Why not? Copper's lower on the list. So if I took hydrochloric acid plus copper, what would happen? Nothing. Nothing would happen. So if you take a metal that is more reactive than hydrogen, place it into the acid, you will get a salt and hydrogen gas. When you lit that hydrogen gas, what did you put a burning splint into it? What happened?
It went out.
It popped.
Oh, yeah.
It popped. What was that pop? A very small explosion. You had a small hydrogen bomb in your test tube yesterday. Did you even know that was occurring? Should have paid more attention. Because are you always asking me, when are we going to blow something up? Yesterday! All right, are we done with this part?
Yes.
Yep, we got it. All right, now this part is a little kind of, does this make any sense at all?
No.
All right, so let's break it down word by word. First of all, I think this is the first stopping point. What does dissociation mean? in real English?
It means break apart.
It does mean break apart. So we started, and I'm referring to the one with the electrode and the light going on or not going on, okay? You remember that? You had an acid. Acid 1 was hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is a strong acid, so it dissociates completely. It breaks apart completely. What does it break apart into? It's ions, a hydrogen ion and a chlorine ion. What is the definition of an ion?
Charged atom.
A charged atom. So these hydrogen ions and chlorine ions are capable of conducting electricity. And conducting electricity means allowing electrons to flow. So when the electron left the hydrogen and went to the chlorine, it allowed that light to illuminate, to turn on. So now we know what dissociated ions mean. Now we need to call this a special name, and that special name is the hydrogen ion. Everybody now, when I say hydrogen ion, you will write this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, all acids and bases and take place in an aqueous solution. Tell me what an aqueous solution is.
It means it dissolves. It dissolves.
Yes, it dissolves in water.
Water.
Aqueous means there's water present. So that hydrogen ion, when mixed or dissolved in water, forms something called the hydronium ion. This, what type of reaction do you think I'm making here? Yep, this is a synthesis reaction. What's happening is the hydrogen ion combines with the water to form this. This is a hydronium ion. Hydronium ion. Are we happy with all these new words?
Yes.
Okay, can we move on? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we did this yesterday. You took a rock and you put it into the hydrochloric acid, and this double replacement reaction, it's probably a good idea to put your head up, thank you, reacted with the rock to form a salt. Do you know what a salt is? Define salt.
Something that tastes very good when it tries.
Just a metal and a nonmetal ionically bonded together. A metal and a nonmetal ionically bonded together. Uh-huh. Or a metal and a polyatomic bonded together. All right, so you noticed when you put the rock in the acid, some bubbles were produced, right?
Yes.
This is the gas that made the bubbles. Then you tested it with a burning splint. What happened to the burning splint?
The fire went.
Yeah,
The
when-
fire went out. It extinguished in the gas, did it not? Yes, it did. If we had a small fire here, what do you think I would do?
Get the fire extinguisher.
I would. What do you think the fire extinguisher is made out of?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon
gas.
dioxide gas. Exactly so. It's carbon dioxide gas. Some of them are anyway. It puts out the fire just like it did in your little demonstration yesterday. Wow. Let's take this one by one, okay? Don't fill, we'll talk as we're filling, okay? Hydrochloric acid has a chemical formula, HCl. It's found in gastric juice. What is gastric referring to? Yep, stomach. It's the acid in your stomach. It is incredibly concentrated and strong. Why doesn't it burn a hole in your stomach? Because if it was out of your stomach, certainly would burn a hole in anything it touched. Why does it not burn a hole in your stomach?
There's lining.
There's lining in your stomach. The cells in your stomach protect against the corrosive properties of the stomach acid. The cells in your stomach wear out really fast, so they have to be replaced very frequently. How many people have known anybody who has undergone chemotherapy? People who undergo chemotherapy are frequently sick to their stomach. Anti-cancer drugs target rapidly dividing or rapidly growing cells. The lining of your stomach has rapidly dividing cells so it can protect against the hydrochloric acid. So the chemotherapy kind of goes after them as well. That's why they're sick to their stomach. Sulfuric acid has the formula H2SO4. It is found in your car battery. Anybody ever jump a car? People must be very careful when they jump a car, because if you do it incorrectly, what will happen to the battery?
It'll die.
It will,
Well,
you hope it
well,
dies, but
well,
it doesn't. It does something else.
Explode.
It does explode. And if you improperly jump your car and it explodes, guess what comes flying out of sulfuric acid? Yep, that is a bad day. Bad day.
Bad day.
Nitric acid can be found in fertilizer. Carbonic acid is in soft drinks. Uric acid is in urine. How many people have a leather purse, leather coat, or leather shoes? Pretty much everybody does, yeah. Where does leather come from?
Animal.
The leather.
What animal?
Cow.
Cow. I would like you right now, what part of the cow?
Skin.
Skin. Cow, skin. I would like you to think of a cow and its skin.
Gotcha.
Then if you have leather shoes on, I would like you to look at your feet. Do they look the same? To get from cow skin to leather, you must do a process called tanning. Okay, it involves an acid. In some places, the acid that is the cheapest to use to tan leather comes from,
No.
No.
yes.
I'm throwing away all my leather.
Okay, I visited Morocco in northern Africa once, and they are famous for their leather products. And so I bought a Moroccan leather purse, and the leather was really soft and supple, and it had some very nice designs on it. And I really liked my leather purse until I got caught out in the rain once. Guess what they used to tan the leather?
Pink.
Uh-huh. Guess what my purse smelled like?
Pink.
Uh-huh. Guess what I did with my purse?
Kept it.
I threw it away. It was vile, nasty, and otherwise disgusting.
How much did the purse cost?
Who cares? I did not want a purse made out of that.
Is it like human?
You know what? I don't know, and I'm gonna really, 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 really hope no. Because I thought maybe they were like, using all sorts of stuff from the cow, so maybe they got that too, but I don't know. I was not a happy camper, and I no longer have the purse. One of the other things you can use for tanning leather is tannic acid. Tannic acid comes from,
You should use that instead.
this one is not so terrible.
Fruit decaying.
Tea.
Yeah.
Oh, and decaying plants. Yeah, and decaying plants. From tea, which is a plant. Okay. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. It comes from fruit. Namely, what's a great source of vitamin C?
Orange.
Oranges. Name a, hey, do you know any vegetables that are a good source of vitamin C? Okay, moving on. Citric acid is found in citrus fruit, lemons, oranges, kumquats. Acetic acid is in vinegar, and tartaric acid is in grape skins. Grape skins.
Grapes are good.
Grapes are good. But if you eat too many grapes, guess what happens to your stomach?
Unhappy.
Unhappy, you get a stomach ache.
They're still good.
They still are good. Okay, moving on, still doing more of this stuff. Just definitions, nothing to be afraid of. Oops. All right, let's go over our definitions. A binary acid. A binary acid, the prefix binary means two. So binary acid means that it has only two types of elements. Here we go. Here's a hydrogen and a bromine. Even though there are two hydrogens, it's only one type of atom, correct? And a sulfur is the second type. A ternary acid means that it contains three types of atoms. So here we have hydrogen is one, sulfur is the second, oxygen is the third. You can tell a ternary acid because it has a hydrogen and a polyatomic ion. Polyatomic ion. A monoprotic acid. Here is a chemistry thing that they do all the time. If we have one definition for something, we like, in one word, we like to make 1,000 different words that mean the same thing. A hydrogen ion is also known as a proton. So a monoprotic acid means there is one proton, one hydrogen ion in the acid. Polyprotic means more than one proton. Get it? All right. Is this a binary or ternary acid? Binary. Is it monoprotic or diprotic? I'm sorry, mono or poly?
Poly.
Okay, let's try this one. Is this a binary or ternary acid?
Ternary.
Is it monoprotic or polyprotic?
Mono.
Monoprotic. One more for fun. Is this binary or ternary?
Ternary.
Mono or poly?
Mono.
Poly, it has more than one H. One more time. Binary or ternary? Binary. Mono or poly? Poly. Poly's got 3 H's. All right. So this guy, his name is Arrhenius. And a long time ago, he decided to categorize some of these things that he found in nature. Because really, you can find acids in nature all around. Tea, wine, juice.
Tea is an acid.
It has tannic acid in it.
Oh, yeah.
So he said, I think that anything that produces a hydrogen ion when I put it in water is an acid. Well, that works really well as long as everything's in water. A Bronsted-Lowry acid is Mr. Bronsted and Mr. Lowry got together, or actually they were doing work, and they decided a better definition of an acid is anything that can donate a hydrogen ion. Remember, a hydrogen ion is the same thing as a proton. Okay. So far, so good? Now, let's talk about some bases. Who's your recruiter? Who was in group 5? Just give me one case. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a base tastes bitter. Don't try to taste a lot of bases, a lot of them are poisons. It feels slippery. How many people have ever washed their hands? What does soap do for you?
Cleans it.
Makes them slippery.
Yeah, soap feels slippery. Guess what soap is? A base. It has a pH greater than 7. Yesterday, when you tested your indicators, you saw that it turned blue litmus paper remained blue, red litmus paper turned blue, and phenolphthalein made that lovely pink color. A definition, or the Arrhenius definition of a base, is anything that gives up a hydroxide ion when dissolved in water. Here are some common bases. Sodium hydroxide is also known as caustic soda and biodiesel. You know what you know it as? Drano. It is one of the most powerful chemicals that's available to you as a consumer. You should treat it with care. Calcium hydroxide is lime water. All you need to know is lime water. Okay. Ammonium hydroxide is household cleaner. Anybody who's ever used ammonium is actually using ammonium hydroxide. And magnesium hydroxide is the antacid. Remember we called it yesterday milk of magnesia? That's what we did the rainbow indicator lab with. So the same guy, Mr. Arrhenius, was, once he decided to define acids, he went on to bases. And he said a base is anything that produces a hydroxide ion in solution. Once again, that works only if you have things dissolved in water. Bronsted and Lowry decided that